I warned you to avoid causing trouble. Quit interfering with others' time by performing pointless things. Why don't you start performing your duties in the sales department correctly before you go lecturing people from other departments? We find it obnoxious when you pretend like you're the new guy all the time. I refrained from expressing my feelings to my supervisor, who appeared clearly irritated. And then, what do you know? I have no problem terminating you. As if it were a smart idea, she said, "It doesn't matter whether you're here or not." I thought I was at my breaking point. Andrew is my name. I worked at a food processing company after I graduated from college. When my father became ill, I went back to my hometown. Fortunately, he is no longer in the hospital. But following his health problem, my dad was uncomfortable leaving my mom alone herself at home. "Andrew, would you consider coming back here?" He asked me during a visit while he was in the hospital. I therefore quit my work and accepted a position at a nearby baby supply store. Although it was difficult to find a solid position for a mid-career hiring, I would have chosen a job that utilized my prior work expertise. I therefore accepted a position with this growing company. However, there were undoubtedly difficulties involved with switching to a different industry. How many times is this, Andrew? The third time. I guess it's the fifth. When are you going to remember? The section manager is the woman who is showing me the documents, her expression displaying complete disbelief. At your prior job, you used computers, right? Why are you unable to recall? Simply put, the formats are different. No justifications. Go ahead and do it. This file is located right here. She yelled, "Yes, I have more important things to do than watch you." She kept helping, but I felt sad for her because I was having trouble with unfamiliar paperwork. I worked in the quality control department on site at my prior employment, so I rarely had to create paperwork and didn't handle many of them. To be honest, I'm clueless when they ask me to prepare a document, even though my college qualification helped me gain a job in sales administration at my current employer. It was suddenly catching up to me after I had been cruising by on templates alone. Man, maybe sales just isn't for me. It let me understand how ideal my previous position was for me. In addition, I had a girlfriend at the time. At the same company, she worked diligently at the office and frequently took over for me. However, I ended up ending our relationship because I lacked the confidence to ask her, a city girl, to come to the country with me. I miss the lunches she used to pack for me, especially since I'm a bit picky with food. All the women I've dated before didn't like cooking for me, but she always struggled and made meals for me. I didn't want to inconvenience her, a woman who wholeheartedly devoted herself to me. Despite being the one to end things, I still have feelings for her. I returned to my hometown after we split up, but things haven't been great. I contemplate quitting my job almost daily, but since I haven't been at this company for long, it might impact my job hunting prospects. So, for now, I'm just observing how things go. It's pretty much an escape from reality. While I'm discontented with my current situation and anxious about the future, I can't take the next step forward. One day, someone from the planning department brought up a collaboration project with a major food company. Our company is fairly large in the baby product business, and our mascot character is quite popular among customers. While we do well with apparel and toys, our own food brand wasn't selling too well. They wanted to put more focus on the food division, and this idea came up to stimulate interest and generate buzz. From the looks of my colleagues, it seemed the other company wasn't too enthusiastic about the collaboration. After many meetings, we finally found a company willing to partner with us. A meeting was scheduled at our office with their sales representative and our manager. This is a busy day, so don't cause any problems. No unnecessary questions either. My manager warned me in the morning. After finishing some tasks, I headed to the vending machines. On my way, I bumped into a representative from the other company coming out of the conference room. "You're Andrew, right?" Don't you remember? We worked together before." "Oh, Tony." Jess, I didn't expect to see you here. Did you leave your previous job? Are you now at the food division here? He bombarded me with questions. No, I'm currently in sales, I replied. Oh, Tony mumbled almost to himself. That explains it. That explains it. What's that supposed to mean? I was about to ask him when my cell phone rang. It was a call from my manager. Sorry. Please, go on without minding me. I'll visit again, said Tony, and he left while my phone continued to ring. I answered it. The first thing I heard was, "You're late. Where are you?" At the vending. Come back right now, my manager said, abruptly ending the call. I returned to my department to see a flurry of activity. One of my colleagues who had been in a meeting told me, the sample we presented as a product image wasn't well received by the client. We need a new one by the week after next. Our department and planning are all hands on deck for overtime. You're free, right? The manager added, let Andrew handle the menial tasks. She handed me some documents to copy and went back to her tasks. Menial tasks, huh? Looking around, while the feedback seemed negative, everyone had a determined spirit, thinking we still had a chance next time. I felt isolated from the group. I may be a burden, but I want to help in some way. That's what I thought, so I pulled out a notebook where I'd written some half-finished notes and decided to continue writing in it. It was a small thing, but consistency appeared to be key. By reviewing repeatedly, I reduced my mistakes. When I finally had some free time, Mike from the planning department gave me some leftover baby food samples. I'm confident about this one, he said, and I eagerly tasted the carrot puree. Instantly, I blurted out, this is awful. Unintentionally, I continued, well, it's baby food. It's not supposed to taste that great to adults, someone chuckled. No, this is really not good. It's bitter, and although I can taste the carrot, the broth flavor is overpowering. It's not that different from homemade, so why would parents buy this to feed their kids? I pointed out. While I was just trying to be honest, it seemed that I had overstepped, given I wasn't directly involved in the project. But Andrew, you worked in a food company before, right? You've never dealt with baby food, though. Not sure your input is really needed here, they retorted. I was about to respond when my manager, who seemed to have overheard the conversation, stopped me. She later told me, I thought I asked you not to cause any trouble. Maybe you don't get it since you joined mid-career, but this is a crucial time for the company. Stop meddling and disrupting everyone's flow. Before you go lecturing people from other departments, do your job in sales properly. It's problematic if you keep acting like a newbie. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if you were let go. It wouldn't make a difference with or without you. Frustrated by her blatant statement, I felt I had reached my limit. Understood. It was a short time, but thank you, I replied, bowing to my manager and going back to my desk to finish up. Even though my contribution might not have seemed significant, the notebook I had been diligently jotting work procedures in felt pointless now. I ripped it up and left the company. On my way home, I called someone. Hey, it's me. A few days after being fired, I received a call from my manager on my cell phone. What does she want now? I thought, feeling annoyed. I considered ignoring it, but the person I was with encouraged me to answer. Hello, Andrew. Can you talk right now? My manager's voice lacked its usual energy. Assuming we wouldn't have much to chat about, I replied, sure, go ahead, thanks. I'm sorry for what I said the other day. We didn't know you well enough, and both Mike and I shouldn't have said those things. We were just in a meeting with a client and the planning team. They had apparently presented the carrot paste I had severely criticized as a sample in the meeting. Then Tony said something very similar to what I had mentioned. Do you genuinely think this tastes good? It has a strong bitter taste, and the broth flavor overpowers the carrot. No matter how good the ingredients are, you can't expect repeat customers. This is a joint business app after all. We need you to think of a product that will sell more. And there's a guy named Andrew in sales you should consider involving. He used to work for our rival company and was in their quality control department. He's what's called a super taster, someone with more taste buds than average. He's not only gifted in taste, but can also accurately recall and compare flavors. I strongly suggest involving him in this project. They decided to continue the meeting next time with me in attendance. Apparently, it wasn't the right mood to say, Andrew was just fired a few days ago. My manager continued, please come back. Without you, they won't agree to the main contract. You know our sales projection for this project, right? Food and merchandise combined, it's $5 million. The CEO even said if this project fails, we withdraw from baby food production. So please. Ignoring her plea, I responded, I told you it's none of my business anymore since I've been fired. I wanted to thank you, manager, for giving me the chance to step away from such a narrow-minded workplace where we couldn't even exchange opinions between departments. Thanks to you, I've come to terms with my feelings. Good luck with the project. I hung up while she was still talking on the other end. Is everything okay now? Megan asked while driving. The day I was fired, on an impulse, I had called my ex-girlfriend, Megan. I had reached my limit and just wanted to hear her voice in that moment. The word patience did not exist in my vocabulary. Andrew, hearing Megan's voice for the first time in months, I felt deflated. Megan, I'm going to ask you something really selfish. Please, let's get back together. After a long silence, she responded, if you let me slap you twice, counting the one from when we broke up, then sure. Thanks to that, my face was swollen today. Looking at my reflection in the car mirror, I asked, do you think it's okay to greet people with this face? Just as the car stopped at a red light, she said, considering it's our old place, you look so handsome that they might even feel sympathetic. It's just perfect. Megan, pouting like a child, has always been my savior, forgiving me no matter how much I hurt her. Apparently, word got out that Andrew was fired. Megan had told my previous company, and the HR manager contacted me right away, asking, would you like to come back? My replacement hadn't been decided yet, and the remaining team was struggling, torn between decisions. My mother said, it's nice to know your dad and you are happy, but it's important to do what you love. I hope you do what you won't regret. With her words, I decided to rejoin. Still, I feel uneasy about living away from my parents, so I think I'll consult with them when buying a house. I need to earn a lot for that. Welcome back. Isn't it too soon? My colleague Ken joked, but I, donning my pristine work uniform, felt it fit perfectly and replied, no, I think I realized it too late. That previous project did end up getting canceled, and the company withdrew from baby food production. Meanwhile, my company ventured into baby food production. I attended the product development meetings as a representative of the quality control department. The environment in which opinions can be exchanged regardless of faction is a meaningful one. The products that have been launched have been well received by consumers and are selling well, and there is already talk of increasing the variety of flavors and forms to suit different uses, such as travel-sized products. Watching children enjoy the food, I feel fulfilled. There are many foods I don't like, but I want everyone to taste something even I find delicious. Just realizing this made those few months' experiences invaluable to me. Come on, Jacob. Make sure you give a proper greeting to the board members, all right. Tyler stated this to me in French in front of the board members who had come to check on our department, not even looking at me. I was being forced to welcome them in French by Tyler. With my limited education, it was simple to assume that he was attempting to make me look bad. Go ahead, give it a shot. If I'm lucky, even middle school level French might get you through. He encouraged me with a clap on the shoulder. Tyler thought I couldn't speak French, which was untrue. If I was truly so bad at speaking French, I would probably wind up coming across as naive and awkward in our chat, exactly as Tyler had meant. Unfortunately for him, though, things don't always go as planned in this world. Then I spoke, and that was MTH, the start of Tyler's nightmare. I'm Jacob, just your average man. I consider myself to be just a regular guy, embarrassingly so in comparison to other men. If I had to choose, my passion of solo travel is the only thing that sets me apart. Not that I don't have pals, but I like to travel alone most of the time. I get to indulge completely in my favorite foods and locations, and there's a certain luxury in spending time alone myself. For me, that's the true pleasure of traveling. I used to take whirlwind travels a lot throughout my undergraduate days because I liked to travel. My vacations were rather limited because I didn't have much money, but I loved them because they made me feel alive. I'd achieved this by using things like youth travel passes. My busy job hasn't allowed me to go on these kinds of vacations lately, but if things calm down, I'm thinking about traveling again. I'm constantly daydreaming about my next trip, what to eat, and other things. I work for a multinational corporation now. It is fairly large and has branches all around the world. In addition to Americans, there are foreign workers. There are no problems at work because everyone can communicate in English fluently. Despite how hectic my days are, I find it exciting to converse with folks from different nations. Speaking with them feeds my dreams and increases my want to travel. Fortunately, I had a lot of excellent seniors and juniors as peers, but Tyler, the department boss, was one unruly guy. This man had quite the personality. I was the unfortunate employee in this multinational organization to have an American manager who was such a weirdo. Was it anything I did in a previous life? Tyler regularly flaunts his educational background, bragging about having graduated from Oxford University in the United Kingdom. To be clear, though, he makes this self-professed Oxford assertion. An elitist, such as Tyler, denigrates people based only on their educational background. Unfortunately, Tyler did not include me in his choices, and I was treated with contempt. Jacob's education level is low, so I wonder if it's safe to assign him such difficult tasks. He would frequently remark, "You know, low education worries me." Even when no one asked, he would silently repeat this to himself. This would go on indefinitely until someone answered, "Okay, just give me the assignment and don't worry about my schooling. Together, we'll work on it," my colleague Olivia stated. Tyler didn't think less of her because she was a graduate of a well-known national university. She consistently interrupted Tyler's divisive comments about me with the appropriate response to his monologues. "I suppose I'll leave it to you if you say so. Please make sure you watch him closely." He said in a quiet voice, "You never know what he might do. He dropped out of middle school." She said, nonchalantly, "I can hear you." Before going back to her work, he returned to his desk and said, "Well then, good luck with that, Jacob." Tyler did not display any signs of distaste while he was saying this. Instead, he was frantically wiping his ear with a disinfecting wipe that he had just used to talk to me. With the same casualness as someone wiping their hands before a meal, he was wiping his ear. Even while there may not be malice, guys may find such behaviors disturbing in women. Inwardly, I find Tyler's constant harassment annoying, but I've been putting up with it with an adult's response. Tyler appears more and more annoyed that I'm not reacting natively. Then there was a notification regarding an inspection by the corporation. Rarely, but once every few years, board members from headquarters visit the workplace to assess conditions. They don't only watch. Occasionally, they also interview people and then provide suggestions for development. Although the notification is frequently given abruptly, with little time to prepare, such as, "We're coming tomorrow, so be ready," it's not exactly unexpected. It ought to be the case, but Tyler wasn't like that. I was totally unaware that guy wasn't your typical kind. I reasoned that after a day of pretending, he would soon reveal his actual nature. But Tyler was frantically attempting to put a veneer over everything. "Hey, be sure to clean everything." Leave no trace of rubbish behind. Complete this document by today. They'll believe our department is slow if we have unresolved business." That's what he was yelling. Then he reclined in his chair and forced his own work onto his subordinates. "Hey, Jacob, you do this data entry. It's due today." He tossed a large stack of papers onto my desk. "This much should be within your capability, even with your limited schooling. Do not pull me down." Tyler needs to be desperate to impress the board members and further his career by behaving like a capable manager. To demonstrate to them that his department operates swiftly, he most likely intends to finish all of the backlog of work by today. We'll definitely wind up working overtime today because we have to put Tyler's tasks over our own. Though ideally I wouldn't want to do Tyler's job, I never know what he might do in the future if I ignore it. To stay out of problems, it's best to obey his directions in silence. Presidents and vice presidents of the company gathered one after the other on the day of the inspection. The upper echelon of our organization is made up of individuals from different nations because we hire talented people from all over the world. In front of such a renowned audience, even I felt anxious. Tyler was particularly keen to advance and was being obedient while masking his typical haughtiness. I whispered under my breath, "He's a different person today," as I watched him. Olivia, who was standing beside me, made an effort not to laugh. It appeared that she overheard my silent remark. "I apologize. Did you hear that?" I said, trying not to show it. I heard it clear as day. "Jacob, you do say amusing things out of the blue occasionally, don't you?" Olivia grinned and continued. Yes, I believe Olivia laughed too much. It's true, though, that Tyler doesn't seem like the same person today. Has something changed about his personality? I concurred with Olivia's statement. The extent to which people can alter due to their wants is startling. "Isn't that Jacob?" exclaimed one of the board members as they filed in. The man was Michael, an older gentleman with an unusual beard that was as well-groomed as Dolly's. My father was friends with Michael, who had assisted me in getting this job. Michael, incidentally, is a division commander at the headquarters. "Have you not been here since you joined? How are you doing?" To be honest, the amount of changes has been excessive, almost too much. However, I didn't want to bring my problems upon Michael, who was speaking upbeat. "Of course, Michael, you're the reason I thrive every day. Thank you so much for that. It's unnecessary to be so formal." He patted my shoulder and added, "It's true that I introduced you here, but all the achievements from then on are due to your own abilities. If you keep doing this, you might soon be employed at the headquarters." I became ashamed of myself for receiving such great compliments. I replied to Michael's remarks in a responsible manner. "Oh, I'm still far from it." Meekness is not necessary. Do you agree with me? He pivoted to face Olivia. Olivia grinned back at Tyler, who declared the morning assembly to be underway. He appeared to be attempting to cut us off from our chat. Michael said, "I'll see you later," as he turned to go. Tyler took the chance to confront me very swiftly. "You dropped out from middle school. What are you being so arrogant about?" I stood there, not understanding a word he said. That was the division chief, Michael, wasn't it? "Listen, it's useless to try to flaunt yourself no matter how hard you try. I'll make sure you regret it if you get too carried away," he said. He assumed that I was attempting to gain favor with the board after observing me conversing with Michael. I hoped he wouldn't include me in his group. I dismissed Tyler's remark and went back to my seat. Tyler enthusiastically welcomed the board members as the morning assembly got underway. This department has excellent employees, and because of them, I have happy days. He smiled at me and added, "Jacob here is particularly outstanding among these talented individuals." What was he planning? It felt too weird to be praising me in front of the board. "Jacob works shoulder to shoulder with us," he said, seemingly mocking us, but also implying that Jacob is a middle school graduate. No, it was mockery without a doubt. Michael gave a nod of affirmation. "No, Michael, You're making fun of me. Jacob has stated that he would like to address the board members. Naturally, I hadn't said anything like that. That was his strategy then. He continued, presumably assuming I couldn't understand French. Rest assured, the speech will be entirely in French. It was simple to believe that his goal was to make me look foolish in front of the global audience by pointing out my terrible French. This had to be payback for what I said to Michael earlier. The executives nodded, "All right, let's hear it," encouraging me to continue. The fact that Tyler had started making fun of me in front of everyone disappointed me a little. I never imagined that jealousy alone could drive someone to such extremes. To a certain extent, I might see someone embellishing their own value, but anyone who can only make himself seem better by devaluing others is, in my opinion, truly useless. Tyler had unintentionally provided me with this opportunity. I reasoned with myself that I ought to take advantage of the situation and give Tyler back all he had done. I started by making an English introduction in front of the board. Then I started talking in French, just like Tyler had requested. Tyler seemed really surprised to hear me speak clearly. I nearly chuckled at how funny his gaping mouth looked. Olivia's shoulders shook with suppressed laughs, as if she had given up trying not to laugh. I couldn't help but laugh at myself because of the huge contrast between Tyler's and Olivia's responses. Since our business is international, as I have already stated, the board members come from a variety of backgrounds. The managing director is French, the vice president is Spanish, and Michael, the division chief, is, I think, Italian. I continued speaking, fluidly flitting between languages as needed, recalling the nationalities and origins of the board members. I moved from French to Spanish, and from Spanish to Italian, and so on. Tyler had given me a speech without any prior planning, yet I felt obligated to live up to his expectations. I continued the conversation by exposing Tyler's maltreatment of me in multiple languages. I told him all about the suffering he had caused his subordinates. I discussed his conceited attitude toward colleagues with less education and his boastful remarks about having graduated from Oxford. It was unfair to criticize someone for being incompetent just because they had less schooling. As I went on, I disclosed that I had been treated unfairly and that Tyler had arranged this speech to make me seem bad in front of the board members because he thought I couldn't speak French because of my middle school education. The board members' looks became increasingly puzzled over time. I gave the lecture in several languages, and they appeared to grasp the meanings even in other tongues, as might be anticipated from such highly skilled people. It seemed, however, that Tyler could only speak French. At first, he appeared to be following the discourse, but when I changed the language, he became obviously confused and could not keep up. He was confused as he looked about. After I concluded my statement, I heard the board members speaking to one another behind me. Olivia was giggling and gripping her stomach. It seems that she had comprehended the main points of my speech. She gave me a thumbs up and silently said, "Good job," as soon as our eyes locked. Michael frowned as he walked up to Tyler. With an authoritative tone, he questioned, "Is what Jacob just said true?" Tyler, the person in question, muttered that he didn't comprehend what I had said. He was unable to react because he got flustered. Olivia, in the meantime, reached up from behind the board members. "You're the girl from earlier, Jessica. What's that?" Michael asked, grinning broadly. Olivia retorted with enthusiasm, "It's true what Jacob said. It's true that Tyler harasses people and makes fun of them for their educational background." When Tyler realized this, he gave Olivia a fierce look and remarked, "Don't make up such baseless accusations in front of the board members." Olivia usually gave up easily, but not this time. Dignified, she held her ground as though it were her last stand. "This is not a fabrication. Is it correct that Jacob spoke German, Italian, Spanish, and French? Tyler, were you unable to comprehend? You always make fun of other people's educational backgrounds, but isn't that odd? You always say that Oxford is your fort," she shot back, teasing him. Tyler screamed at Olivia, his cheeks flushed with rage. "Get over it." In the midst of the chaos, President Thompson muttered, "That's enough." His few but powerful remarks, laced with more than simply rage, controlled the room. However, it didn't appear to have any impact on the stupid Tyler. Don't trust a word these inexperienced workers say. It is evident that my contributions to the company are greater. He made a direct pitch to President Thompson. These folks are trying to frame me. This middle school graduate cannot speak any other language save English. Tyler angrily said, "He must be bluffing, just making it sound convincing." "For once, please shut your dirty mouth," Tyler said. Elizabeth, the executive director, scowled at him. "I'm not saying that I agree with everything he said, but Tyler, the more you chat, the more real his statements appear." "Am I the only one who feels that way?" she said. And that's when Michael started talking. "I know Jacob fairly well. His ability to speak multiple languages is not surprising given that he has lived in several nations since he was a small child. My mother is half French and half American, and my father is American, thus I have mixed ancestry. From Eastern Europe, my maternal grandfather emigrated to France. Despite my quarter American appearance, I rarely have people mistakenly believe that I am mixed race. Even as a regular employee, my father, a senior executive in a trading company, frequently traveled abroad for work and frequently rented homes abroad. Through his job, he got to know my mother, and they were married, which is how I was born. We spoke in both French and English at home. Although I was born in America, my father's work required me to travel extensively during my early years. After graduating from middle school in America, I relocated to France and enrolled at University PSL in Paris. My last educational credential in America was junior high school because I was only here until middle school. Tyler became pale when he found out I'd gone to University PSL. Renowned in France, University PSL is well known for its exceptionally stringent admissions requirements. But I've always held the opinion that background in education isn't everything. Academic credentials are not the most essential thing, and displaying accomplishments that span decades seems completely meaningless in a society that wants to go forward all the time. I've always maintained that the outcomes you achieve in the future are more important than your educational background. I frequently respond in kind when Tyler treats me like an idiot, but Tyler never appeared to take my remarks. A middle school graduate, and wrote them off as just bitter resentment. In actuality, Tyler was unable to disregard what I stated because he was a graduate of an institution with international repute. I questioned whether I had made a mistake. Tyler appeared deflated and subdued, his lone identity as a high achiever now negated. A moment ago, he had been yelling and raving. Michael persisted in chasing Tyler. "Tyler, you have an impressive educational background. But it's dumb to use it as a shield to put yourself above others and make claims of superiority. Genuinely smart individuals evaluate people based on their character rather than their level of education. I fear you're acting foolishly in that regard." Tyler seemed to be at a loss for words as he opened and closed his mouth to respond. His clenched fists quivered, giving off an air of intense frustration. "What you've held dear appears to be nothing more than memories," Elizabeth remarked as she perused a stack of paperwork. "A graduate of Oxford only in name. Assigning excessive goals to subordinates and piling on the workload. What specific skills have you acquired since joining this organization? Here, it appears that you are the one who lacks competence." Tyler cried out, "That's ridiculous. All I wanted was for my subordinates to grow." He attempted to explain, but at this point, trying to look innocent seemed incredibly fake. Choosing participants for a significant upcoming project involved this inspection as well. Your name was among the candidates, but after today's events, you will no longer be participating in the project, Michael said to Tyler. With tearful eyes, Tyler begged, "Please wait. I put a lot of effort into my business. Perhaps I went too far with my training techniques," he said, but President Thompson cut him off before he could say anything more. Cease undervaluing yourself. The best thing you can do for our organization is own up to your mistakes and make behavioral changes. Do you not think? Tyler received criticism for his treatment of his colleagues and a warning that more actions could result in harsher repercussions. He listened in silence as the board members talked about his future. The inspection was put on hold for the time being because it was too stressful to resume regular work. After a little while, Michael summoned me to a conference room. There I discovered Elizabeth, Michael, and Olivia, who had all been called. Elizabeth complimented me, saying, "Thank you for your courage in speaking up earlier." I apologize for how I brought attention to the matter. It was a bit harsh. "Yeah, it was a little rough," I answered. "You did denigrate your direct supervisor in front of the board, even though Tyler is at fault." "Yes, that is accurate. Even if it could appear that Tyler was solely to blame, making an accusation without following the correct channels can be interpreted as untrue rumors or slander. There ought to have been a set procedure in place to deal with these kinds of problems in order to follow the company's policies," Elizabeth said. Olivia stepped in to defend me, saying, "But Elizabeth, enduring harassment and finally speaking out in such a drastic way is understandable. Yes, that's the reason we won't chastise him this time, and it's quite a talent that he speaks so many languages." Elizabeth gave her a compliment. Her acknowledgement of my skills was really encouraging. "So, Jacob, Olivia, and I would like you to join the big project we mentioned earlier." Olivia and I were taken aback. Olivia's response was actually louder than mine. As for Jacob, the board members believe he's a great talent and would like him to participate, we previously stated. Except for the board members, Olivia was the only worker who agreed with Jacob's statements. Olivia had listened to what I had to say and even supported me. "Olivia deserves equal recognition if I am deemed talented," I remarked. "It's me too," Olivia questioned, shaking like a tiny animal. "Obviously." Elizabeth reassured her, "We really want you both on board," and held her hand. Due to the project's worldwide scope, multilingualism was required. Olivia rolled up her sleeves and exclaimed, "I might not be as skilled as Jacob, but I can speak about 8 languages well enough for tourism." Olivia started learning languages to converse with locals and seemed to enjoy traveling. She enjoys learning about the many histories of the locations via their respective tongues. I was intrigued by Olivia's desire to learn more about the history and culture of the locations she goes, and I found myself wanting to know more about her as well. Things moved rather quickly once Michael and Elizabeth presented the project, and I decided to take part. I quickly began collaborating with headquarters staff members. Michael made the arrangements that put Olivia and me together. For this first big project, it was felt that working with a coworker would go more smoothly than dealing with a stranger. We once met for business with an Italian company's representative. He tried to flirt with Olivia and even praised her, staying true to his Italian heritage. What's wrong with this man? We're working right now. Are Italians generally like this? Their nation's enthusiasm is unlike anything else, I thought. Olivia appeared rather disturbed, as if she was not used to being teased. "Please keep it professional. This is a business meeting," I stated in a gentle tone. However, he made no attempt to halt. I didn't want to push too hard and end up blowing the agreement, but I couldn't help but get annoyed when I saw Olivia being held and flirted with so tightly. I stood in between of them and said, "I am the main contact here. Please direct your attention to me," grinning firmly. With a chuckle, the salesman said, Okay, I'll cool it." That was the last time he bothered Olivia, and the business deal was closed. The Italian salesperson abruptly slung his arm around my shoulder as we were ready to depart. He smiled shyly and said, "Hey, brother, you should just be honest and go for it." "What are you discussing?" Perplexed, I asked. "Hey, buddy, look at that crimson face." The salesman laughed and added, "You really thought you could hide it? before walking away. I couldn't stop thinking about the upbeat salesman's advice to just be honest, even after I went home. Olivia was something I had been acutely aware of since the conference room episode. I believed that my emotions were limited to admiration. However, witnessing another man approach her during the negotiation caused an odd agitation in my heart. I must like Olivia, I suppose. I was a little sorry, not for falling in love with her, but for letting that naive Italian salesman know how I truly felt. It felt like I was in elementary school when I realized it, since it was brought up by someone else. Every little thing she did was more meaningful to me after I realized how much I loved her. Had she always had such a sweet smile? I thought about how sweet her expressions were. There was no denying how much fun our daily chats and mutual interests were. It seems like you're constantly observing her. Is everything really like that? I overheard the chat between the staff seated behind me as I was eating in the cafeteria. Yes, I think that's the case. Adorable little love. That voice seems to be familiar, huh? Shall I simply go tell them? I could play Cupid, maybe. Avoid interfering. Elizabeth, go for it. Be the love's Cupid. These two would really do it. I knew it, and I had to stop them. Please don't worry about these pointless, frightful things. I objected. Behind me were Michael and Elizabeth. They had been curiously connected with me since that incident. I had no idea Michael was so fun. I worked hard, maybe even harder because of Olivia, despite their jokes. I wanted to present my best self to her. The large project we worked on was successful as a result of our efforts. Everyone at the gathering was beaming as they ate the dinner. I searched the venue for Olivia, but I was unable to locate her. Opening the foyer door, I thought she could have gone outside. Olivia was there with Tyler. I slipped in and listened in on their talk. Are you certain of this? You may not be able to come back for years, Tyler remarked, sounding less like his typical cynical tone and more like he actually cared for his subordinate. Tyler had stopped making fun of people for their educational backgrounds ever since. I was uncomfortable and couldn't bring myself to talk to them, so I kept listening in private. I heard Olivia remark, "I can't believe you volunteered for an overseas transfer." I was unaware of this. Although I was aware that our organization had opened a new branch in a distant area, her surprising offer to move was unanticipated. Moreover, she had asked for it herself. Are you certain of this? Tyler emphasized, you might not be able to return for years. Olivia just said, I know everything, in response. Tyler departed, and I went up to Olivia. Are you really traveling abroad? Olivia gave my query a shocked glance. I apologize, I was listening in. I said, I've always wanted to work overseas, and they requested volunteers this time around. I chose to assume the risk. The accomplishment of this endeavor encouraged me to move further, she said, her face beaming. I'm not going to stay there indefinitely. Building a house in America is my dream. It's only a step toward bettering oneself. She smiled and replied, When I say it, it sounds cool. I hesitated for a second before saying, There's something I want you to hear. I like you. And I was staring at her. Her eyes were wide as she glanced up at me. I want to help you in your work, but I don't want to be a burden. Can I come see you occasionally then? I remarked while rubbing my cheek. I become angry with myself for not being able to express something more witty at times like this. But in return, she gave me a radiant grin and an embrace. Of course, you have to pay me a visit. I restrained her. Olivia went for overseas a month later. It wasn't the same as before, when all I felt was despair. Both she and I had faith in each other. Olivia says that although her work is demanding, it is rewarding. I like hearing about her updates on anything that goes on outside of work, large and little. I have the matching pair of rings on my finger, and she wears one. The promise rings seemed excessive to me, but Olivia gladly accepted them. She smiled and added, Sometimes when I feel lonely, I'll look at this and cheer up. At the airport, reminding me how precious and dear she is to me. We share the same rings, so even when we are away, our hearts seem to be linked. I'm planning a lot of stuff right now as I'm lying in bed. I've made the decision to go see Olivia. The thrill of seeing her surpasses the fear of going somewhere unfamiliar. I grin when I consider how to meet her or what kind of stories will make her smile. Although I've always liked to travel, this seems to be the most thrilling trip I've taken thus far. Who you go with matters more than where you go. It's true what they say.